I never thought I'd be that woman, the one who ruins her perfect marriage over something so stupid. But here I am, sitting alone in my new apartment, typing this out while my kids are with their dad for the weekend. I'm Paige, I'm 32, and in the span of one careless moment, I destroyed everything good in my life. Connor and I had been married for 7 years. We have 2 beautiful children, Emma, who's 6, and Noah, who's 4. We weren't rich, but we had our cozy 3-bedroom house in a good school district that we'd worked our butts off to afford. Connor coached Noah's T-ball team and never missed Emma's dance recitals. He remembered birthdays, anniversaries, and even the little things like grabbing my favourite snacks when he went grocery shopping. He was the kind of husband my friends envied, the one who still opened car doors and left little notes in my lunch bag. I used to think I was so lucky. We'd met in college, got married right after graduation, and built this life together. The early years were amazing. We travelled, we partied with friends. We were spontaneous. Then the kids came and things changed. Don't get me wrong, I love my children more than anything, but being mom 24/7 started to feel like my only identity. Connor was still wonderful, still attentive, but I started to feel invisible, not to him, but to the world, to myself. It started so innocently I'd post family photos on Instagram, mostly for relatives and friends to see the kids growing up. One evening while Connor was bathing the kids, I got a notification. A direct message from someone named Jared commenting on a beach photo from our summer vacation. Beautiful family. You look too young to be a mum of 2. Basic, right? But I felt this little flutter reading it. I clicked on his profile. He was 27, good-looking in that effortless way with photos of hiking trips and music festivals. His life looked so free. I should have just liked the comment and moved on. Instead, I replied with a laughing emoji, and flattery will get you everywhere. We started messaging daily. At first, it was casual. He'd ask about my day, I'd ask about his job in graphic design, but quickly it became the highlight of my day. I'd find myself checking my phone constantly, making excuses to step away when Connor was around. Work email, I'd say, or just checking on Emma's school schedule. The lies came so easily. Connor noticed something was different. He'd ask if I was okay, say I seemed distracted. He started planning more date nights, bringing home flowers for no reason. The more he tried, the guiltier I felt, and perversely the more I turned to Jared. With Connor I had responsibility and history. With Jared I had excitement and novelty. He made me feel young again, desirable in a way that had nothing to do with being a good mom or wife. After a few weeks of intense messaging, Jared suggested meeting for coffee. I told myself it was harmless, just friends getting together. I lied to Connor about having a lunch meeting for work. The moment I saw Jared in person, something shifted. He was even more charming face-to-face, listening intently as I talked, leaning in slightly when I spoke. When our hands touched, reaching for the sugar, I felt electricity I hadn't experienced in years. That coffee led to another meeting the following week, then lunch, then a walk in the park. Each time, the boundaries blurred further. The first kiss happened in his car. I told myself it would just be this once to get it out of my system. I'd go home to Connor and recommit to my marriage, but instead I found myself inventing more elaborate lies to see Jared. I joined a gym I never went to. I had girls' nights with friends Connor never met. I stayed late at work when I actually left early. All the while, Connor remained the perfect husband. He'd have dinner waiting when I got home for my gym sessions. He'd take the kids out on Saturday mornings so I could sleep in when really I was texting Jared. One evening, he surprised me with tickets to a concert I'd mentioned wanting to see months ago. As we enjoyed the music, his arm around me protectively, I checked my phone whenever he went to get drinks, messaging Jared about how bored I was. I became a master of compartmentalization. Connor and the kids were my real life, stable, loving, permanent. Jared was my fantasy, exciting, validating, temporary. Or so I told myself. But the lines started blurring. I found myself comparing them constantly. Connor's dad jokes that once made me laugh now seemed lame compared to Jared's sharp wit. Connor's reliable Honda suddenly looked pathetic next to Jared's sportier car. Connor's familiar touch, once comforting, now felt routine compared to the adrenaline rush of Jared's forbidden caresses. The worst part, Connor tried even harder as he sensed me pulling away. He'd ask what was wrong, how he could help, what he could do better. His genuine concern made me feel like a monster, so I'd overcompensate with forced enthusiasm, which only made me feel more fraudulent. Meanwhile, the kids noticed too. "Mommy, why are you always on your phone?" Emma asked once, making my stomach twist with shame. I told myself I would end it with Jared. Tomorrow, next week, after this one last time, but each meeting intensified my addiction to how he made me feel. I wasn't just cheating on Connor. I was cheating on myself, becoming someone I never thought I'd be, selfish, deceitful, reckless. Yet somehow I kept convincing myself that what Connor didn't know wouldn't hurt him, that I deserved this excitement, that I could keep my perfect family and have my thrilling secret too. Our emotional messaging wasn't enough for Jared anymore. "I need to see you," he texted one afternoon while I was folding laundry. Not just for coffee. I knew exactly what he meant. And despite the alarm bells in my head, I felt a rush of excitement I couldn't ignore. We set up a meeting at a hotel in the next town over, where nobody would recognize us. I told Connor I was having dinner with college friends who were passing through town. The first time in that hotel room crossed every physical boundary I'd promised myself I'd never break. I'd been faithful to Connor for 9 years, and in one afternoon, that was gone. What shocked me most wasn't the guilt I felt afterward, it was the lack of it. Instead, I felt alive, desired, like I'd reclaimed a part of myself that had been dormant for years. Jared made me feel things Connor hadn't in a long time, or maybe things I hadn't let myself feel with Connor because I was too busy being a mom and managing our household. That first hotel meeting turned into a regular thing. Every couple of weeks I'd create an elaborate excuse, a work event, shopping with friends, a self-care day at the spa. Connor never questioned me. He trusted me completely, which made sneaking around even easier. Even when I'd come home late, he'd just ask if I had a good time, then tell me he'd saved me dinner. His thoughtfulness made my betrayal worse, but somehow I kept compartmentalizing. Jared and I got reckless. We stopped using protection because he said it felt better, and the danger of it thrilled me. "I want to feel all of you," he'd say, and like an idiot I'd agree. He'd finish inside me, and instead of panicking about the consequences, I'd feel some twisted intimacy in the risk we were taking together. It was like I was living in some alternate reality where consequences didn't exist. Our physical relationship intensified our emotional connection, at least for me. We'd lie in bed after talking about places we'd travel together, what our life could be like. If things were different, he'd say, not quite promising anything but dangling possibilities. We'd go to Barcelona, stay up all night at those clubs you mentioned. I ate it up, imagining this fantasy future while ignoring the reality that he never actually suggested I leave Connor. Just vague some days. And what ifs? At home, Connor remained steady, reliable, everything I'd once wanted. He planned movie nights with the kids, remembered to schedule the plumber when our sink was leaking, brought me coffee and bed on weekends. Meanwhile, I was living for the rush of my secret messages with Jared, constantly checking my phone, creating a password Connor didn't know, turning it face down when he was nearby. I became paranoid, jumpy, sure that any moment I'd be caught, yet unable to stop. My closest friend Darcy noticed the changes in me. "You seemed different lately," she said over lunch one day. "Is everything okay with you and Connor?" I brushed it off with a laugh that sounded fake even to me. "We're fine, just busy with the kids." She gave me a look that said she didn't believe me but wouldn't push it. Later she texted, "Whatever's going on, be careful. You have a good thing with Connor." I deleted the message immediately, annoyed that she'd implied I was doing something wrong, even though I absolutely was. Connor tried harder as I pulled away. He suggested date nights, planned a weekend trip for our anniversary, bought me thoughtful gifts. I responded with forced enthusiasm while mentally comparing every gesture to Jared's intensity. Connor's stability began to feel boring rather than comforting. Jared's unpredictability, which would have bothered me before, now seemed exciting. I was like an addict, choosing the high of my affair over the steadiness of my marriage, unable to see how I was setting fire to everything that mattered. Connor surprised me with an anniversary weekend getaway. "I've arranged for my parents to watch the kids," he said, showing me the reservation for a boutique hotel 3 hours away. Just us. No distractions. My first thought wasn't gratitude for his thoughtfulness. It was panic about being disconnected from Jared for an entire weekend. What kind of person had I become? I messaged Jared about my upcoming forced vacation with Connor, half expecting him to show some jealousy. Instead, he was weirdly distant. "Have fun," he replied, hours later. "We'll catch up when you're back." No declarations about missing me, no suggestive comments about what we do upon my return. It left me feeling hollow, obsessively checking my phone even as Connor drove us to our romantic destination. The hotel was perfect. Connor had remembered my offhand comment about wanting to stay at a place with a soaking tub. He'd arranged a couple's massage, dinner reservations at an upscale restaurant, even packed my favourite snacks for the road trip. Every thoughtful detail made the knife of my betrayal twist deeper. The man knew me, loved me, built his life around making me happy, and I was throwing it away for hotel meetups with someone who couldn't even muster enthusiasm about seeing me after a weekend apart. For brief moments during our getaway, I reconnected with Connor, laughing over dinner, reminiscing about our early days together, falling asleep in his arms. I remembered why I'd fallen in love with him. He made me feel safe, valued, understood in ways Jared never could. We made love on the second night, and for once I was fully present, not fantasizing about someone else. Afterward, Connor held me close and whispered, "I feel like I've been losing you lately. Whatever it is, we can work through it together." The sincerity in his voice nearly broke me. I mumbled something about being stressed and overwhelmed, hating myself for the lie but too afraid to confess the truth. When we returned home, Jared's mysterious distance continued. My messages went unanswered for hours, our usually flirtatious banter replaced with short, almost dismissive responses. Each notification from him set off a rush of anxiety and need that frightened me with its intensity. I was sleeping with this man, risking my marriage, my relationship with my children, yet I realized I barely knew him. What did it say about me that his withdrawal affected me so deeply? My growing desperation made me careless. I started texting him while Connor was in the room, hiding my phone screen but unable to wait for privacy. I invented more frequent excuses to see Jared, transparent lies that I can't believe Connor didn't see through. Yoga class, 3 times in 1 week. Coffee with Darcy, when Connor had just heard me decline Darcy's actual invitation the day before. If Connor suspected anything, he didn't confront me, which only made me push boundaries further. Connor planned a special evening for us while his sister took the kids overnight. A rarity in our busy lives with young children. He cooked my favourite meal, opened a nice bottle of wine, created a playlist of songs from our dating years. I tried to match his enthusiasm, but my mind kept wandering to why Jared hadn't responded to my message from lunch. Connor deserved my full attention, especially after all his effort, but I couldn't give it. I was physically present, but emotionally tethered to my phone, to a relationship that was clearly cooling while I burned with obsession. Later that night, with the house to ourselves, Connor initiated intimacy. I responded automatically, going through familiar motions while my mind drifted. And then something shifted. I closed my eyes and suddenly I was with Jared. The fantasy was so vivid, so consuming, that for a moment I forgot where I actually was and who I was with. That's when it happened. In a moment of intense pleasure, caught up in my fantasy, I moaned Jared's name, quiet but unmistakable. I realized my mistake instantly. My eyes flew open to see Connor frozen above me, his expression shifting from passion to confusion to dawning horror. I quickly said his name over and over, louder each time, as if repetition could erase what he'd just heard. But it was too late. He pulled away from me, sitting at the edge of the bed, his back to me. The silence was deafening. "Who the hell is Jared?" Connor's voice was dangerously quiet. The bedroom suddenly felt ice cold. My mind raced through possible explanations. A co-worker, a character from a show we watched, anyone but the truth. But the panic on my face had already confirmed his worst suspicions. "It's not what you think," I stammered, clutching the sheet to my chest. Connor turned to look at me and the pain in his eyes was unbearable. I'd never seen him cry in all our years together, but tears were streaming down his face now. "Answer me, Paige. Who is Jared?" His voice cracked, and I felt sick with what I'd done to this man who loved me so completely. "He's just someone from work." I lied, my voice small. It didn't mean anything. I don't know why I said it. The words sounded pathetic even to me. Connor stood up, pulling on his clothes with shaking hands. "Give me your phone," he demanded. "What?" Number. I clutched my phone from the nightstand protectively. "You don't trust me?" His bitter laugh was like a slap. "Trust you? You just called me by another man's name while we were making love and you're asking if I trust you?" "Give me the damn phone, Paige." I hesitated, knowing what he'd find if he got past my password. "This is ridiculous. You're overreacting." Connor's face hardened. "Overreacting? After everything I've done for this family, for you, this is what I get back?" His voice rose with each word. "Give me the phone." I reluctantly handed it over but didn't unlock it. He looked at the locked screen, then back at me, his expression a mixture of disgust and disappointment. "Unlock it," he said. "I don't appreciate how you're talking to me right now," I said, trying to flip the situation. "You don't need to yell or curse. Unlock the phone, Paige." His voice was deadly calm now. "Number, this is a violation of my privacy," I said, knowing I was fighting a losing battle but desperate to protect my secret. Connor's laugh was hollow. "Privacy? You worry about privacy? I pay for this fucking phone, so technically it's mine anyway. Unlock it." "Connor, you're scaring me," I said, trying to make him feel guilty. "I don't like this side of you." "And I don't like this side of you," he shot back. "Actually, I don't even know who you are anymore." He pocketed my phone. "If you're cheating on me, this marriage is over. You can start packing your bags. Otherwise, just shut the fuck up and let me think." I knew I was guilty. I knew the evidence was on that phone. So I stayed quiet as he stormed out of our bedroom, taking my phone with him. The next morning, Connor took my phone to our mobile carrier store. Using his account authorization, he obtained a detailed record of all texts, calls, and data usage. The evidence was overwhelming, hundreds of messages to the same number at all hours, especially when she claimed to be working late, or out with friends, hotel confirmations, location data showing her nowhere near where she claimed to be. When Connor returned, he silently placed the printed records on the table and asked me one more time to tell the truth. I broke down, admitting to the affair but insisting it was just physical and meant nothing, lies to protect myself from admitting my emotional investment. Connor asked how long it had been happening and if we used protection. My hesitation before answering told him everything he needed to know. His face hardened as he processed the full betrayal, not just the infidelity but the reckless endangerment of his health. He packed a bag, called his brother to arrange staying with him, and told me he'd be in touch about the children and divorce proceedings. 2 weeks into the separation, I began noticing troubling symptoms. My visit to the doctor confirmed my worst fear: chlamydia. When I called Connor with this news, his cold silence before hanging up was devastating. This final betrayal, endangering not just his emotional well-being, but his physical health, became the breaking point for everyone in our lives. Connor's attorney used this as further ammunition in court. I became a pariah in our social circle with former friends, refusing to let their children have playdates with mine. Meanwhile, Jared completely ghosted me after I texted him about the STI. He even requested a transfer to another branch, effectively removing himself from my life without so much as a goodbye. 3 months later, here I sit in my small 2-bedroom apartment. Connor has primary custody of the children, with me getting them on weekends and some weeknights. Our judge was unsympathetic to my situation, especially after the STI disclosure. Connor's lawyer painted him as the devoted father betrayed by his reckless wife, while I was characterized as selfish and unstable. It wasn't far from the truth. When buzzes with a text from Connor taking kids to pizza and a movie tonight, Emma asked if he could find her blue sweater for school, Monday. Such is the extent of our communication now. Practical details about the children, nothing more. No, how are you? Or hope you're doing well. Those niceties died the night I said another man's name in our bed. I've lost more than my marriage. Friends have drifted away, uncomfortable with the messy reality of what I've done. My parents, who adored Connor, barely disguise their disappointment. My sister keeps our conversations focused on her kids, never asking about my well-being. At work, I requested a department transfer to avoid the whispers and knowing glances. Last week, I took the kids to their favourite restaurant for dinner. As we were finishing our meal, Connor walked in with a group of friends. The moment our eyes met across the room, I felt it. The absolute absence of any warmth or connection. There was no anger anymore, not even hurt. Just nothing. He nodded politely, spoke briefly to the kids, and continued to his table. That indifferent hurt more than his fury ever had. The most devastating part of all this. Connor was everything I claimed to want in a partner. Attentive, loyal, hard-working, a wonderful father. He planned date nights and remembered anniversaries. He supported my career and shared household responsibilities. He loved me unconditionally until I gave him every reason not to. I threw it all away for someone who saw me as disposable, as nothing more than an exciting diversion from his ordinary life. I tell myself it wasn't entirely my fault. Jared manipulated me. Marriage is hard. I was feeling invisible, taken for granted. But these excuses ring hollow even to my own ears. The truth is simpler and harder to face. I made a series of selfish choices. I prioritized my desires over my family's well-being. I lied repeatedly to the person who trusted me most. I risked my husband's health without a second thought. If I hadn't said Jared's name that night, would I still be living my perfect life? Would I have eventually ended the affair, recommitted to my marriage and carried my secret to the grave? Or would the truth have emerged eventually in some other careless moment? I'll never know. All I know is that I'm paying the price now. A lifelong sentence of regret for one moment of thoughtless pleasure. I don't regret the affair because it was wrong. I regret it because I got caught. I don't miss Connor because I truly loved him. I miss the life and status he provided. If I could go back and change anything, it wouldn't be the affair itself, just my carelessness in keeping it secret. That's the ugly truth I can admit only to myself in the darkest hours of night. The woman everyone now sees me as selfish, reckless, untrustworthy. That's exactly who I am. And now I have to live with the consequences of being seen, truly seen, for who I've always been.